Going live.
This is The Old Show, a source of inspiration not only for cranks, aging time deniers, and fogey has-beens. It's an expression of the senior revolution, an ongoing proclamation of our refusal to quietly take our place in the grand scheme of ageism. A place where we can gently make fun of ourselves and point the finger of righteousness at everyone else. And now, here's your host, defender of the infirm, protector of the aged, and avenger of the unrepentant retiree. This is Krotchett. Welcome to the Old Show.
We've got an exciting feature for you tonight. I'm here tonight at the Good Samaritan God Help Us All Retirement and Rehab Center, but also our special guest is Caroline. She is an employee here at Good Samaritan God Help Us All Retirement and Rehab Center, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what life is like here at this retirement center. Go ahead, Carolyn, tell us what's going on.
I'm so glad we could all show up today. It's so nice. It's so nice that everyone is here. I'm just so pleased. I'm very pleased that you could show up, and Michael, you're looking just wonderful. And Mr. Cash, it's so good to see you. Even you might want to wipe that little dribble from your side of your mouth there, just a little bit. Just wipe that away if you could. It's so nice to see you all here today. Living in a nursing home can be stressful at times. We have our, well, let's think about it. We have food you can't possibly want to eat. That's something we can think about, but we don't really want to think about it too long now, do we? No, let's look at something more fun. We've got television. You have a television right above your bed, or at least above your roommate's bed, and it's got a very, very loud volume, and your roommate likes it that way. So as long as your roommate is happy, it might be driving you nuts, but that's okay, because there's plenty of other things to do while you're staying with us here at the Good Samaritan God Help Us All Convalescent Rehab Center. One of the things we like to say when we do our work every day, we come to work, we pray to God we don't die. And besides that we're not talking about disease. No, we're talking about the food. You folks are on the right track when you complain about the food here. I don't understand why you have to. I take my lunch from home, but you people have to eat this stuff. It's amazing to me how they get away with it. But we have to look on the bright side, don't we? That's why we're here, to look on the bright side and be happy and content. And don't forget, Tuesday's Visitors Day. Unfortunately, yesterday was Tuesday, so it's going to be several days before you get to see anyone again. And it is COVID season. Isn't that nice? COVID season. Sounds like Christmas, doesn't it? COVID season, so you're not seeing anyone anyway. So that's good. That gives you plenty of time to wipe your nose. You could do that. How about you, Nat Cash? You can do that. And Michael Impatient, you can do that for us, can't you? We're having so much fun here today. And, you would think I'm the accountant here at St. Michael's God Help Us Rehab Center. And I'm not even the social. So you can just imagine how wonderful our social program is. If you can get this level of communication from the accountant, just imagine what it would be like having an actual session with our social director. Wouldn't that be fun? But she died of COVID, so we're not doing that either. So we can play chess, but you don't play chess, do you? None of you do. No, you can't lift your fingers, you poor things. So instead of that, we'll just listen to television. How about that? Let's listen to some television. That will be fun. Okay then, I'll turn the TV on nice and loud so everyone can hear it. Not only in this room, but in the next adjoining 4 or 5 rooms. That'll be so good for them to pick up on this, and maybe they'll learn a thing or two, won't they? Yes, it was so nice to be here with you today, and have a nice night. Bye-bye now.
It's time now for a Krotchett Rant.
So a recent Rand study puts the cost of dementia in this country upwards to $215 billion a year. The study goes on to outline the tremendous economic costs of caring for people suffering from diseases like Alzheimer's and early onset dementia. And then there are the personal costs, slowly losing a loved one as they walk with us in a park each Saturday morning, or watching them sit blankly with the family for Sunday dinner. While this might seem sad to some, the real concern, of course, is really about me. Let's face it. It's true that I haven't been officially diagnosed with any such medical condition, but there's no shortage of friends and acquaintances, I can't recall if I have any family, who are willing to line up and testify that I'm usually running a quart low these days, that I'm often out to lunch long before I've had breakfast. Yes, I'll have to admit that not every single synapse is firing in the right direction, if any are firing at all. Still, I'm quite sure that the $215 billion the Rand study refers to doesn't include the costs of the 7th can of WD-40 that I bought the other day because I've forgotten about the other 6, which are apparently hiding around my home like colored eggs left abandoned during an Easter egg hunt. Now, I sat down yesterday afternoon to calculate just how much my personal aging is costing me. It was quite startling. The fact of the matter is, I'm saving money like never before. I no longer remember anyone's birthday, so big bucks are saved on celebratory dinners and expensive gifts. I don't spend any more money going to the movies because I've been told that I'm usually asleep before the previews have concluded. I no longer pay for auto maintenance, like oil changes or insurance premiums. Not because I don't remember where I last left my car, it's because I can't remember if I still own one. This is Krotchett for The Old Show.
It's story time.
In 1962, I was 10 years old. Dave was 9, Alan Shepard had just gone into space, and I wanted to go too. A couple of years earlier, my dad had dragged us all outside in the middle of the night to watch Sputnik fly by. This Russian satellite was the first man-made object sent into orbit. I admit my aeronautical reluctance at first, but when my eyes finally met the tiny white spot quietly dodging the stars above me, I knew there was nowhere to go but up. That's why Dave and I began building a spaceship. This was an excellent choice, not only for its close proximity to emergency services, i.e. my mom, but also because of the abundant auxiliary thrust available. We would push it over the cliff in case the main engines failed during liftoff. Our technical resources consisted of vague memories of 3 science fiction movies viewed from a great distance. That means we were peering over an 8-foot-high fence at the drive-in theater. In a rare stroke of luck, Dave and I had the opportunity to witness Bugs Bunny fly to Mars the following Saturday morning. It was then that we decided to model our spaceship after his. My great-aunt Zarilla would never have imagined her old wringer washing machine was to be the foundation for the world's first intergalactic spaceflight. Elon Musk had nothing on us. We had ripped off the wringer part, leaving a cylindrical tub supported by 3 very definite rocket-looking legs. This section of our spacecraft was then moved to the launch site via cylindrical redundancy. That's a fancy word, means we rolled it there. Next, we added 3 more sections. The cockpit, where our yet-to-be-selected pilot was to command the spacecraft. It had its origins in a 50-gallon drum, not unlike the one my dad had used to store chicken feed until the same morning. On the inside, every effort was made to ensure safety and comfort for our astronaut. 2 packages of Hostess Twinkies. 1.5 packages of Hostess Twinkies. And a half can of Hires root beer. They were stored safely behind the seat. And for controls, we needed something complicated. The cockpit had to at least look complicated. If we were going to get someone to actually fly in our spaceship, we were going to have to make it seem like it would fly. You've got to remember this was 30 years before video games were invented. My dad, in a brief flirtation with TV and radio repair, had accumulated an assortment of gadgets and instruments with more than the required number of dials and knobs. We grabbed the most intimidating gadget we could find, a 1947 Emerson tube tester, and stuffed it into the cockpit. So far, our spaceship stood about 5 feet high. We needed some height. A quick scan of Dave's garage produced an old disconnected hot water tank. A tank, I might add, that had the same diameter as the standard garbage can when turned upside down. Both items were attached to our space vehicle. We stood back and inspected. Our craft was now 12 feet high, but seemed to be crying out for a peach basket. Yes, a peach basket with a broom handle sticking out the top. Yes, yes, yes. All of those years of study and testing had now paid off. We were ready to send someone into space. In 1962, we didn't know very much about outer space. We didn't know if there were diseases or space aliens or what. It was necessary then to send into orbit someone who was in good health, someone interested in science, someone with an aptitude for spaceflight, and ultimately someone we didn't like. Frankie Farana was chosen not only for these qualities, but also because he lived in town and we wouldn't have to see him on a daily basis when he returned. We called Frankie that morning and told him the plan. He was going to endure some pretty stringent testing before he was offered an opportunity to ride. He agreed. An hour later, Frankie's dad pulled up in our driveway, the passenger door opened, and out came 2 big rubber boots, a pair of ski gloves, a yellow raincoat, and a football helmet. Somewhere inside was Frankie Farana. Frankie had to submit to 3 tests, each a little more difficult than the previous one. After checking his spacesuit for fit, we showed Frankie to our vertical acceleration apparatus, that's a VAA. We explained that to ensure his safe return to Earth, we needed to know if his body could withstand the impact of landing, and he understood this. So Dave then tied a rope around Frankie and had him climb the apple tree. When he reached 15 feet, we asked him to jump. Jump? He questioned. We both nodded. I assured Frankie that this test was perfectly safe, noting that the fact that we had never encountered any difficulty with any previous tests. Besides, Dave was holding the rope. Frankie was desperate to be an astronaut. With no further prompting, he bade goodbye to the safety of the apple limb and headed for the ground. Dave let go of the rope. He's alive, Dave shouted. Good, I said. Put him in the barrel. It was time now for the centrifugal diversion determination process. Our astronaut candidate was placed in a wooden barrel and sent down the hill behind my house. The successful candidate was to count to 200 before the barrel hit the apple tree. Go, I yelled. Dave let loose and the barrel screamed down the hill. Count, Frankie! And I yelled to the 8-year-old kid who was now spinning wildly towards his date with destiny, a fruit tree. Frankie Farana was alive. He had to change his pants, but he was alive. Mission Control, that would be me and Dave, were so impressed with his test scores that it was decided to dismiss the requirement for the final examination and proceed directly to launch. It was T-minus 6 minutes to countdown when Frank Farano entered the space capsule. Dressed in his spacesuit and football helmet, he waited patiently for the ground crew to complete the pre-launch checklist. Our astronaut's field of vision was limited to a single porthole the size of a barrel plug, which in fact it was. Mr. Farano could see from his porthole the fantastic view of the gravel pit just a few inches away. And you know, kids are funny. We had all spent that Saturday morning dreaming about spaceships in space and Martians and galactic mariners. We had planned and wished and hoped, and now after all was said and done, our fantasy was losing its fascination. We somehow knew that our spaceship wouldn't really fly. We knew an old washing machine and a peach basket attached wasn't really going to go to the moon. Dave and I just stared at our creation for a moment. It teetered on the edge of the gravel bank. Illusions gone now. What we saw instead was a gullible city kid trapped inside a garbage can sitting on 2.5 Hostess Twinkies. T-minus 10 seconds, I said. Dave began burning some newspaper in front of the porthole, while I began shaping the spaceship to simulate our now aborted launch. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2... With one final nudge, our spacecraft hovered for only a second, and then up, and then over the edge, crashing down the gravel pit, breaking into pieces. With all that clatter of metal, we could still hear the long scream of Venki Farana. "Get me out of here." His plea was repeated many times, but we're not really sure how many times, because it was 11:30 in the morning now, and the Lone Ranger's on at 11:30. This has been Storytime.
Okay, it's time to play that game we like to call What the Heck Was That? That's right, it's really a simple game. We're going to play something for 15 seconds, something from the 1930s to the 70s. Could be an excerpt from a television show, could be a little bit of a song, could be a quote from a movie, a famous speech. Your job is to guess what it is. Go to our website on theoldshow.com, click the message link and tell us the correct answer, and maybe you'll win something, and maybe you won't. So let's play it right now. Here comes that sound. You're going to have 15 seconds, and that will be that. Starting now.
No one did more to bring law and order to the frontier, and white man and Indian alike turned to him for help. His reputation for fairness was only exceeded by his reputation for courage. Now return with us to those thrilling days when the West was young.
What the heck was that? If you know what that was, just go to our website at theoldshow.com, leave us an audio message. Tell us what you think it was, and if you're right, we'll send you something really cool. On the other hand, we may not do anything. You know, we're busy, we're old, we're cranky, but that's how we do it on The Old Show. Thanks for playing. What the heck was that? So, Ann, what'd you think of the show?
Well, why don't you have commercials? I'd rather be online shopping than listening to that piece of...
Well, there's that music again, letting us know it's time to say goodbye for now. We want to thank our guests, our great support team and technical staff, none of whom we'll recognize or remember tomorrow. Join us again soon for another adventure of resistance aging on The Old Show. And be sure to visit us at theoldshow.com. We always want to hear from you. Some supporting audio portions of the program were made available through the Creative Commons license and provided by the Internet Archive. The Old Show is a production of Gary Ball Bryant and is available online. Thanks for stopping by. The Old Show.